Sing in the Lord and His presence and the joy that you experience when He wraps Himself around you, when He draws near to you. That's what makes you happy. That's what gives you joy. You don't need that medicine. Do you believe that you can give yourself away to God right now? Offer yourself up. Do you believe that you have? If not, why not? It's time. We are running out of time. The clock is ticking. Jesus is in a hasteful spirit to gather up His bride to end all this lunacy that goes on in the world. He deserves right now to be king. We need Him to be king. He brings peace where there's now war. He brings organized, unified love effort where right now there's disconsonance and there's infighting, gossip, and unbelief. We've got to get Jesus to come back again. So that means we've got to make ourselves ready. Have you given yourself away to the Lord? Then to the people of God, to the workers, the ones that have been assigned to do the work. See, if we don't have a Catholic Church that we can trust anymore, that the Pope and the cardinals and the bishops and all the priests are definitely filled up with God, and how do we know who the apostles are? How do we know who we should give to? There's false apostles, there's false prophets, there's false pastors, there's false bishops all over the place. Well, you got to test, and you got to test. But if you give yourself away to the Lord and you hear His voice, He will tell you what to do. I believe that people have been touched to give to us, but they were stubborn and they refused to give. I know this to be true in my heart. People don't want to give to something they don't understand. But if they give themselves away to the Lord first, they'll begin to understand what we're going through. And God will take them through similar experiences. Why? To teach you the way of faith. If we need to learn anything today, it is the way of faith and self-denial. It will drive you to think differently. You will get a new mind. You will get a new vocabulary. You will have a new kind of gait as you walk about, because you're going to move in God instead of moving in your normal way. Head down, focused on your priorities, going from place to place, having your list of things that you've got to do, things that are important to you. Imagine just stopping all that, stepping back, listening to God, and going about with observation, studying the things about you, waiting for God to bring people that have real need in front of you so that you can minister Jesus Christ to them. Are you expecting God to move in your life? Are you expecting God to motivate you and move you about? And if you're stuck somewhere, don't fund that which is dead. Don't fund these things that are Ichabod. Don't do it. The Lord wants you to fund that which is real, that which really matters, that which is going to get something done. Not something that's just going to pay a dead staff, that all they care about is preserving their positions and their status quo lifestyles. There's nothing exciting about what they say. They preach dead sermons, or they barely give the gospel to their Sunday school classes. And they hold back all of the truth because they don't even know the truth themselves. They've never had an encounter with Jesus Christ. You're going to give to that? That's what the enemy wants you to do. Give to the dead stuff. Waste your money. Give it to something dead. That's what he wants you to do. He doesn't want you to give it to me. He doesn't want you to give it to Live in Lattes International Fellowship. He wants you to give it to that which is dead. Come on, start thinking. What's going to turn things around? Not redoing over and over again the same old church thing. 1 hour on Sunday, maybe Sunday night, Wednesday night service. That's not going to flip this place upside down. Harry, it's when people come together with expectation and hope. They have 3 and 4 and 6 hour meetings. They meet every day. They pray every day. And they expect something to happen. That's what God did at Pentecost. They waited for the Lord together, 120 people. They were in one accord with one common issue. They were waiting for the Holy Spirit, power from on high. That's what initiates revival. Waiting, tarrying, looking to the heavens, together, diverse groups of people waiting on the Lord. That's what initiates revival. If you're not doing it, don't expect revival. Don't keep doing the same thing thinking it's actually going to work this time. It's not going to work. Your revival services are not going to work. You got to do something different, something you've never done before. It's time for a change. We've got to raise up prayer warriors, people who will pull down the blessings of the Lord by their strong faith, who have the faith to believe that God can save anybody and that God can turn a culture inside out. Do you think Paul doubted for a second that when he preached the gospel to the most pagan place, Rome, Ephesus, Corinth, Galatia, Colossae, Antioch, the Jewish places, Jerusalem, Tarsus, where he grew up, do you think he doubted that the message would change lives? It changed him from being a murderer of Christians to a lover of the people of God. He heard the voice of Jesus. He knew Jesus was real. He knew he was alive from the dead. What is holding you back from believing that Jesus can still save sinners? I don't care what they've done, where they've been, have aligned themselves with. If you're a witch, a mason, somebody who deals in Buddhism, transcendental meditation, I don't care if you're a religious Catholic, Baptist, Methodist, Reformed Presbyterian, Reformed Baptist, I don't care what you are. God can turn a sinner, but he's going to do it his way. It's going to be with power. He's going to invade you. He's going to knock you down. He's going to reduce you. He's going to level you, just like that publican who beat his breast and said, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. That's the reduction. That's the starting point. God opposes the proud religious person, but he exalts the humble and the meek. When you look at us, there's nothing fancy about us. There's nothing fancy about my character. Do you think there was something fancy about Paul or Jesus? Do you think Jesus impressed people by the way he looked? It was the power of his message. It was the power of his words. We added all that later. The Byzantine era, the Catholic Church. We made it into this fancy, stained glass and all these artistic works of the saints. And we bowed down to our gods. We bowed down to these things, and we bowed down to these statues. We bowed down to our Protestant preachers, Spurgeon and Wesley and Edwards and all these guys. We have our saints, and we bow down to them. We don't believe God's going to raise up another saint. And if he does, we don't like him because he's not the way we want him to be. But don't you know that Edwards wasn't what he was supposed to be? Don't you know that the Wesleys weren't what they were supposed to be? They broke from the norm. If you study the Moravian Church, Count Zinzendorf, he did something totally radical. He opened up his property for a bunch of dissidents. A bunch of people were being persecuted by the Catholic Church, to allow them to have a refuge place, just like a place like we're at now, except they said that the land was really hard for growing things. This land isn't. It was muddy and it didn't drain well. But over the course of years, Count Zinzendorf at one point decided to bring a real law, and the law was love. And for 100 years, these Moravian people sent missionaries all over the world. They have a settlement in Winston-Salem. We want to unearth their wells. They had 24-hour prayer. They had watches. People would take turns throughout the night watching over the community. There was tremendous spiritual unity in their midst. We can get that back, but it's going to break from the norm. Somebody's going to have to do something spectacular. Then another person's going to have to do something spectacular. You're going to have to do something spectacular if you expect something to happen in your life. You can keep praying and you can keep doing your religious thing, but it's not going to work. Paul, if he would have kept going and killing Christians, all he would have done is found himself in hell. But God stopped him. And I pray God stops you today. And I pray you give yourself to the Lord. That's more important than giving to live in lattes. But if God gives it to you to give to us, then do it. Obey the voice of the Spirit. Give, and you will be blessed. I thank you for listening to this 30 minutes almost of effort, struggling effort to talk about giving.